What I found, of course, is a lot of displacement. A lot of people now moving south. They first went from the north to the middle, and now they're moving from, as the military operation is moving south, they're moving further south. So there are people everywhere, on the streets, camping on the sidewalks. The shelters are completely overcrowded, and a lot of confusion. Where are we going? What's happening next? And of course, very few answers. What I also found was that there is a lot of fear in there. You can see it also in the eyes, not least of the children. They've been through a lot, and when you speak to them, of course, they are desperate. There is an increasing sense of desperation, and now the risk of further breakdown of law and order. I saw that visiting these food distribution sites where there are massive crowds lining up, and increasingly angry crowds who are trying to get, of course, as much as they can, because they also don't know when the next shipments, the next deliveries are going to come.
And now you are in New York, and I believe you've met with UN officials. What are your recommendations for the United Nations officials?
Well, for WFP, we focus very much on the food security situation. So during the 7-day pause, we were able to do a survey. We have now concluded that about half the population is on the brink of starvation, and 9 out of 10 families are not eating enough. That means that they are not eating every day, or they don't know where the next meal is going to come from. Next week we'll be issuing a report, an IPC report as it's called, that is a more verified and collaborative approach with other agencies and organizations that will put more light on the critical food security situation. But I'm also here to appeal for a better response. We have been able to reach some 1 million people since the start of the crisis. During the 7-day pause, we were able to deliver also in the north, reaching some 250,000 people. We are ready to deliver to another 1 million people, but we need access. We need, first and foremost, to be able to bring in supplies at more volumes. We need to open more crossings, not least Kerem Shalom from Israel, in order to enter with more volume and in a more controlled and orderly fashion.
You raised the concern of trying to reach people who are really in need, and we hear Israel saying it's trying to minimize civilian casualties and allow humanitarian aid for civilians. What did you see?
I mean, we are not able to scale up in the way that we want. Yes, we are getting some aid through in Rafah on the border of Egypt, but we're not able to get enough assistance in. And indeed, we're not able to move around in the way that we would want to. We are now limited to delivering only in the south, in Rafah. And we know that there are massive humanitarian needs also elsewhere in the country. And so we are frustrated not to be able to deliver in the way that we would want to and that we could, given the resources and the procurement and the preparedness that has been done. And so we need to turn this around. And first and foremost, we need a humanitarian ceasefire, but we also need to get deliveries inside, supplies inside at a completely different scale. Ideally, we would also get commercial deliveries inside, because then we could resume our programs with vouchers and cash assistance, which also has positive impact on the broader economy, an economy that is under massive stress. Man, we shouldn't be comparing suffering. There are dire humanitarian needs elsewhere as well, in Afghanistan, in Sudan, in the DRC. But what we are seeing unfolding in the Gaza Strip right now is quite unprecedented in terms of its complexity and in terms of the pace in which the situation is evolving. And so a completely different kind of international response is needed.